Hi, I'm Rachel Baxter, and I'm going to share with you a dream that I had from December of 2014. This was one of the first dreams I had that I believed was from the Lord, and it was showing me a time of future war in our country, in America. If you reference scroll and figleaf.wordpress.com, this is where I'm sharing or had been sharing these prophetic dreams and experiences that I had with the Lord. As I record this, it is October of 2025. So very different time on the earth than it was back in 2014. I want you to keep that in mind. We have just seen in 2025 this peace agreement between Israel and surrounding groups like Hamas, the release of prisoners. We've seen Russia invade Ukraine, that war ongoing. So again, the world is just a very different place than it was back in 2014. In the dream, my husband and I parked and were going to go into a home improvement store like a Home Depot. It was located on the edge of town next to a cornfield that had just been harvested. It was cold out, but there was no snow on the ground. It was either early morning before the sun came up all the way or at the end of the day during winter when it gets dark so early. I knew that the kids were at school. All of a sudden, out in the field, we saw an armament rise up out of the ground and we saw missiles launch. At first, I thought there were 6 missiles launched, but later in the dream, I got to look from a broader perspective and saw smoke rising up and coming down in streams that showed 24 different missile launch sites in groups of 6 that stretched out in front of us. We were shocked that this had just happened. I remember getting a look at one of the missiles up in the sky and noticed that there were SRB solid rocket boosters attached to them, which indicated to me that they were long range and likely going up into the atmosphere before finding their target. I do not know if these missiles were launched offensively or defensively, but based on later parts of the dream, I think it was in response to an attack. After seeing this, we went inside the store and found that it had been damaged. There was a gaping hole in a wall and the employees looked shaken. One employee pointed us to another employee after we went up to him. My husband may have went up to him to ask a question. I somehow knew that this other employee was a man of faith. I got a sense that he was from our church, although that may not have been a physical building, but a belief system. It was like our spirits were connected. He had a warm and peaceful countenance and was reassuring. At that moment, I realized that our kids may be at jeopardy at school. I wanted to go and had to kind of drag my husband away. We got back in the car and then my husband drove towards the field where the armaments were, and there was still smoke to be seen. As he drove into the field, I yelled at him to watch out because there was a motorcycle driving down the edge of the field. It was dark because the headlight was very bright against the backdrop. So that was the end of the dream. Let me give you a bit of a dream interpretation I had from back then. So I sense that this was literal, or at least some of the elements of the dream were literal, that there would come a time when America will be attacked on our own soil and we will be forced to defend ourselves. People will be going about their lives as usual when all of a sudden an attack will ensue. The Home Depot store is a reference to needing to have our house in order. This will not be the time to be working on the foundation of our lives, which ought to be in Christ, the cornerstone. The season of the year based on the cold temperatures and lack of sunshine would most likely be either late fall or early spring. The number 6 speaks of humanity. The time for Satan to have free reign over humanity is ending as the 6th millennium ends. The number 24 speaks of elderly wisdom or the elders. We will need our Father's wisdom to survive what is coming. The kind employee at the store is a picture of the way that Christians will desire to be in community during this time, being protected under the shadow of the Almighty, according to Psalm 91. I would also say now, in the fall of 2025, what we hear and see the Lord doing in the earth is he is connecting his body one to another as the promise of the one new man comes forth. Jesus Christ in us, the hope of glory, a place where our souls are laid down, submitted to the Spirit of the living God. It is his Spirit leading and guiding us. And in that way, through his Spirit, we are interconnected one with another. Thanks.